Mayweather and Mcgregor Egregors. All right. Wholeness and balance vibrations to everyone. We're going to whip this thing up again today just to demystify what's going on in the realm. Just like everyone was focused on that solar eclipse, now they're focused on yet another dualistic parody. And this time it's Mayweather versus Mcgregor. So, this one's classic. Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about how the race war, they're just going to keep playing the same card over and over and over again. And it's just maximum distraction, maximum disruption. Like, this is not just distraction. Well, yeah, it is. Look at the word distraction, meaning no traction. You don't get anywhere. You just keep running in circles. This is what judgment does. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like, I was looking at this since the 1960s. Even earlier, you have people that have been proclaiming to begin to work on advancing consciousness, but they can't figure out the mystery of removing the dualistic good and bad components so you could get busy with your energy. So here's how it works. So I talked about egregors, and what egregors are is when you get a collective group together. This is the old word. It's actually heavily related to Freemasonry. And what an egregor is a concentration of energy that was birthed from the mindsets, as they call the ritual, from the collective mindsets and energy of those that are engaging in constructing that egregor. And the purpose for this is because an egregor, being artificial meaning that it wasn't birthed from a womb, an egregor being artificial actually does not have the confines of a human being on the astral plane, meaning the human soul, because being born through human bodies, have certain persuasions and perceptions. That's the easiest way to bring it up. All the experience that you're having here, when you get into the astral plane in your dreams or whatever, you allow your experiences here to reflect on how you carry yourself in the astral plane. Well, since egregors don't have a physical birth on the planet, then that means they don't have that same amount of what we would call moralistic bearing. And this is actually why you can get these massive wars where hundreds of thousands of people die. And it's being conducted, and then you would think, man, who would be as diabolical to do something like this to our own kind, to babies, to women? Why would you want to do something like that? And it's because the groups that run the military-industrial complex have submitted themselves to the egregor, and in order to extend their power. And in that, because they connect to that egregor, it actually gives them, it puts them into a state of supreme servitude. Okay, and that's the God they trust. That's when they bow themselves, when they call themselves servants. That's what they're talking about. Okay, so going further, what we have is these two situations. Now remember, so the egregors are conducting their own macro war of exerting influence over the human beings. And in the meantime, you have their tentacles, which are basically sometimes unwilling servants. Like they say, evil has found a willing servant, and unwilling. These are people who don't even know what they're involved in, but they're actually working with it and saying they're a part of it and even carrying out missions for it, etc. And then they have no clue what they're tied to. So, okay, so these egregors, when collective energy forms, they basically get stronger. And if the rituals are not being conducted properly, or the secrets to the rituals of controlling the egregor start to slip, possibly because even the originators of the egregor have moved off the scene or have moved off the plane, whoever is now controlling that egregor, if they don't keep up those rights, that egregor starts to move on its own volition, meaning it can actually act out on its own. So really, what we're dealing with right now is a situation like what's going on with Nike. Nike, the owner said that he wants to stop the company, but because he doesn't own all the shares in the company anymore, he can't stop it. So even people who have one share, they will have to give up their share in order to stop this situation going on with Nike. And there's millions of shares. And the situation is all the plastic, all of the, you know, the child slavery sometimes, and all the different things that it actually represents now versus what the original owner designed it for. Okay, there's a lot of egregors out on the realm right now, things that were designed to do one thing, and then now, hundreds of years later, they're doing something else. The biggest egregors are actually religions, because generally the person, generally the Godhead, the supreme being who have bought, you know, when a person brings their supremeness into the realm, activates themselves, they may transcribe some literature with this idea of giving this information to humanity for that time. And that would, based on their perceptions, free humanity from its clutches, from the clutches of, you know, what they're enthralled with. So then that, of course, that passion, when something is written like that or done in that nature, that passion is so strong, other people catch that passion and they live with that passion too. And they even, if they believe it to their core, they even, when they die, their bones become resonators for that idealism and that egregor. So now you can see why in cemeteries they always put the cross there, because they know those are basically antennas for the egregor of Constantine and Christ and all of what that stands for on that level. And that's because generally when a person dies, when they believe in that tradition, they're like, God help me, God. And then they're visualizing this Charlemagne and Pythagoras and all of that whole tradition. And then they die and they basically freeze themselves in that mode or in that frequency, and embeds their bones. Okay. So there's your occult side to this. So now when you come into the realm, of course, because this is basically just, you know, this is nowhere near at times as complex anymore, the games that are being played on the human beings, is what I explain. So now you get, let's say in Mayweather's scenario, because you can understand Mayweather's persona from many different levels. And Mayweather is, to black people, a massive success story, especially for this Generation Z and for, you know, these younger kids, because Mayweather got money, and that, it ain't no way to cut it any way than that. There's no, you don't have to say anything about Mayweather's personality. He doesn't really get out there, and, you know, it's just him and money. He's become synonymous for money. Okay, so he's even not like one of these rappers, you know, that they snorting all this stuff and they drinking all this stuff, pouring this stuff and they drink. That's not what Mayweather represents. Mayweather represents the height of a physical athlete, never defeated, etc., etc., came from the bottom and then worked his way all the way up, and then now, you know, he basically doesn't experience misfortune. So in people's mind, that egregor, in those Generation Z's mind, that egregor is very strong to them. Those young black kids, that egregor is very strong to them. So likewise, then you have Mcgregor. Mcgregor is Irish, obviously. Now, if you got to study history for the relationship between Irish people and black people, it's actually much more intrinsic than we are led to believe. Not only were there black people in Ireland, but many of the Irish that came over that actually experienced something akin to being very impoverished. I can't even say slavery. Slavery is a different level. But being very impoverished when coming to the United States, they integrated a lot with the black people. Okay, you got to go do your own research. So what I'm saying is you have two success stories in the mindset of the masses, because they make up the more of the impoverished, the middle class, lower class, etc. So these are the success stories. These are the lottery tickets. So now what they're going to do is they're going to make these two lottery tickets, which happen to be black and white. As we know, they're going to play the checkerboard game. They're going to take these two lottery tickets and they're going to cash them in on each other. Now, of course, Vegas is going to make more money than ever either way. Dana White, MMA, all those organizations, all those part of the octagon. That's what you could just call it. All of that is going to make more money than ever off of the conflict going on between black and white. So they're actually going to juice the conflict. Okay, and this is what I want everyone to see. They will take this conflict between black and white. Now, first of all, black. Black is supposed to be every single color. White is supposed to be the absence of color. Okay, here's the little white lie. First of all, the absence of color is clear. Okay, and as far as black containing all colors, that is true. But who is black? Meaning Vanta black. Okay, so there's brown people, there's purple people, there's all these different shades, but who's Vanta Black? Nobody that you've seen. So what this is this is the perpetuation of a lie and a continuous conflict by using that lie. And that's why all of these texts start off with the lies. In the beginning was the word. Okay, well, what's the word? That there is no such thing as a beginning. See, that's the first lie. That's why lie and life are cognates of each other, because a person's supposed to believe that they can come here into this realm and actually find something they're missing when coming from a space where they already had everything. That means you will never find it here unless you're looking right within yourself and tapping back into what you already know. So wholeness and balanced vibrations. There it is. Your Mayweather McGregors, your Conor McGregors. And explaining to you exactly what's going on, how people keep getting played over and over and over again. It keeps happening over and over and over again. Here goes the realm. Now remember, they're juicing now. They was just juicing on solar eclipse. Now they're juicing again on the 4 more days later. Why? Earth's resonance is picking up. The Schumann resonance, you can check it. It's not no conspiracies. It's going up progressively, and this means that we're going into a stage of activation. And if you forfeit and utilize all your energy to keep engaging the system, you're only increasing the power that they have to destroy what people think they are. And I'll put it just like that, because they can't destroy anything. We are immortal, imperishable, impenetrable. Okay? So there it is. Wholeness.